Well, the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics saying the Sooner State has become a leading source for illegal marijuana nationwide. Joining me now to discuss, Mark Woodward with OBN. Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So can you break this down for us? What evidence, what numbers, what statistics are you seeing of this growing black market trend in Oklahoma?
Well, over the last 2.5 years, we've talked with numerous partners around the United States, especially on the East Coast, from New York to Rhode Island to South Carolina to Florida, who say that Oklahoma grown marijuana is the number one source of their black market marijuana that they're intercepting in their state. And so that's what has initiated a number of our investigations to criminal organizations here in Oklahoma is the amount of marijuana from these farms that are ending up on the black market all across the United States.
What has led to the growth of this black market here?
Well, the popularity of high grade marijuana around the United States continues to climb. Obviously, we've got over 40 states with some form of legalization, and there's criminal elements that are going to want to supply that marijuana untaxed in larger amounts than the consumers would normally be getting in other states, and they can sell it much cheaper than commercial medical marijuana. And so a lot of these groups started growing high quality marijuana, but they've moved their operations, a lot of them to Oklahoma because we have cheaper land, cheaper licensing, some of the loosest regulations in the United States. So there's several factors that have made Oklahoma kind of prime real estate for these criminal organizations that are growing marijuana for the black market.
I read something about ghost ownership. What is that, and how is that playing a role in this?
Well, a critical part of our law says that 75% of your ownership has to be somebody who's been an Oklahoma resident for 2 years. So these criminal organizations obviously would not qualify to get a license coming in here from California or other states. But we've had law firms and other consultants step up and say, don't worry about your 75% owner. We'll find somebody to put down as your 75% owner in exchange for a fee. And a lot of times they're putting somebody who knows nothing about the farm. Sometimes it's a legal secretary in the lawyer's office who's now claiming to be the owner of anywhere from 7 to 299 farms in Oklahoma. And they're nothing more than ghost owners or straw owners in order to allow these many times criminal organizations to come get a license in our state.
So, of course, there are plenty of people here in our state that are doing things the right way. How does this impact the people that are doing business legally?
Right, and many of the people we've talked to in the industry themselves say that they're bleeding to death financially because they cannot compete with the black market prices. Many of these legitimate growers it may cost them $800 to $900 a pound to grow, and that's oftentimes what they're selling for, and so they're barely making a profit. Whereas the criminal organizations oftentimes are using human trafficking and cheap labor from desperate people who are here illegally, and so they're cutting corners at every turn, and they're able to grow for as little as $100 a pound. And so legitimate growers and dispensaries say they cannot compete with so much of the black market marijuana that is primarily the number one source on the streets.
And then how is this impacting the consumer in turn?
Well, the consumers, it's a concern because these people are cutting corners also on pesticides, rodenticides, and other illegal chemicals that they're using on their products that certainly could have an adverse reaction for patients. And so we're very concerned that some of this black market marijuana could certainly be reaching some dispensaries and being sold, not just here in Oklahoma, but in the black market in dispensaries in other states where they're buying cheaper black market marijuana that's not tested. You don't know what the hazards could be, certainly for a patient who's compromised. And then it's also billions of dollars not captured by our state of Oklahoma that is going to the black market, and it's lining the pockets of the cartels who are wiring millions of dollars and laundering it worldwide through the marijuana that's being sold illegally through Oklahoma farms.
Could you talk about the work you guys are doing to combat this issue? Is there anything legislation-wise that you guys can bring to the table to help fight back?
Well, it's twofold. We're going after these criminal organizations that are growing here in Oklahoma and moving their product to the black market and laundering their money worldwide to their criminal groups. But we're also going after these law firms, consultants, brokers, whatever they want to call themselves, who are helping get a license for these criminal groups by creating these fraudulent straw ownership structures in order to look like a legitimate business when they're nothing more than a fraud structure that's used to acquire a license for these groups. And we've got a commitment from our legislature to provide more funding for our agency so we can hire additional agents with a full-time focus on going after these criminal groups. We've shut down nearly 200 farms. I would say we have close to 2,000 that are under investigation. But right now, we simply do not have the manpower to keep up with the influx of information we're getting about these criminals in Oklahoma.
So, Mark, one more question here, and I'm curious. There have been calls to legalize recreational marijuana here in our state. How do you think that would impact the black market industry? Would it make things worse or better in your view?
Well, we can learn from our other states, and many states that have legalized marijuana recreationally have the same problems they do recreationally with the medical recreation, and that is there's people who don't want to buy taxed marijuana; they'd rather buy it on the black market. There's plenty of people who can make it the price drop by growing cheaper on the black market, and so they can sell lower and drive demand. So you still have a black market whether you've got medical or recreational in your state. We've learned this from our partners from Colorado to California.
All right, Mark Woodward with OBN. We appreciate the information this morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.